All right. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm sorry I've got a bad cold. I'm losing my voice, um, but that's okay. Let me move this over from open chat so I can see who's talking. All right. So as a reminder, this next 3 lessons, we are taking a break from your personal creed document. We will not be building any part of it. We're going to be covering 4 different laws. The law of entropy we're talking about today. Then we'll talk about the law of expectation, the law of balance, and the law of 1%. When we're through with those 3 lessons, we will then be talking about values again, and you'll actually build part 4 of your document. So this week will be a little lighter week. You just have the 3 assignments. You have the threaded discussion. You have the case study work, and then the class meeting report evaluation. Are there any questions before we talk about, we're going to do one little activity today that introduces values a different way. But are there any questions that anybody has? Any questions? All right, so let's talk about the law of entropy. The law of entropy is really simple, and it affects all of us. And I've used some of these pictures to illustrate what the law of entropy is about. The law of entropy basically says, if we don't pay attention to the things that matter, if we don't make them important, if we don't value them, then things are going to go and drift towards more of a kind of a chaotic state. That's true. We'll start in the top left corner, go clockwise. That's true in our relationships. It's true for our health. It could be true for your bedroom and your desk and your yard. You just can't leave things. They're going to become messy. They're going to entropy. They're going to go to a disorganized state. The art this week is the art of progressive living. And the art of progressive living is very simple. If we pay attention, again, I'll go in a clockwise order. If we pay attention to our faith, our health, our discipleship, our relationships, I should say, then our discipleship, you could say your yard, your home, your desk. If those are things that are important to you and you pay attention to them, you're going to live progressively. The law of entropy doesn't have any effect. So for me, this is an old picture. I need to update this. We've added family members. But for me, the thing that matters most important to me is my family and my faith. So if my family is important to me, then I'm going to pay attention to my wife and my kids and my relationships with all of my children, because I care about them and I care about how they do and how we do as a group. The challenge in today's world is if we get sidetracked and distracted and diverted from the things that we value, then it's going to be potentially have some negative responses. So what we're going to be doing over the next, collectively and kind of in a certain pace over the next 3 weeks, is thinking about and identifying your values. Now, your values are things that matter. This week in your case study, you're going to be looking at some conference talks and identifying talks that might be related to a value that you have. But today we're going to play a little game just for a few minutes that will help you identify what you value. And we're going to do different exercises over the next couple of weeks. So I've got a picture of this island. This is actually a pretty happy place. I want you to think back to the Tom Hanks movie, Castaway. And in that movie, he ends up being stranded on a deserted island, and he's all alone. I want you to pretend that you're stranded on a deserted island. And, pardon me, I have a cough drop, but it's not working. On that island, you discover that you have a place to stay. There's an abandoned bungalow or hotel resort. And you realize you've got power, the generator. There's some food that you find. You're going to be comfortable. And here's the good news. People are going to be able to deliver you a package. And in that package are a couple of items that you can request. But you're going to be on that island for a year by yourself. And all you have with you is your clothing and your scriptures. So the two things that you can get delivered to you. One, and I want you to think about this, and we're going to have you share, and you can talk to me if you want, or you can put it in chat, is a book. Now, you already have your scriptures. So if you could only have one book that you're going to live with for a year, read it, ponder it, think about it, what would that one book be? I'd love to hear from anybody. And so I'm going to read these. The Yoga Bible, that's cool. Lord of the Rings, Outlander, Allison, How to Build a Raft, pretty good. How to Make a Radio. Okay. Anybody else? Now, you're going to be rescued in a year. You know that for a fact. So a year from this date, you're going to get off the island. Okay, so Emily says Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Good. Anybody else?
How about the book, How Will You Measure Your Life by Clayton Christensen?
Yes. My favorite book of all time. All right, thank you for that. Yeah. Steelheart from Ciara. Good. If you were to buy any book this year other than your school books, How to Measure Your Life would be my first recommendation. I've loaned mine out and I can't find it, but anybody else? Okay, now this is a question tied to this week's lesson, okay? Let's use Steelheart by Ciara or Harry Potter by Emily. Even Allison, How to Build a Raft, or Samuel, How to Make a Radio. Outlander, Lord of the Rings. What do each of your book choices say about what is important to you? What does your book choice say about what is valuable, what you value? Any ideas on that? And you can value things as simple as entertainment or adventure. Eric, talk to me. How you measure your life? What does that say about your values?
Well, I've just recently purchased the book and I have not read it through yet, but I am working on it.
Yeah.
I've reached a point where I really don't particularly like to read books. I'll wait for the movie if it's an entertainment thing. But things that can help improve my life right now.
Yeah.
And help me to further myself and those around me.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you haven't measured How Will You Measure Your Life, there's 3 sections in that book. One, I might get these in the wrong order. I know which one the third one is. One section is, hang on one second. One section is how to succeed professionally. Number 2, how to succeed in your family. And number 3, how to stay out of jail.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, right?
Yep.
Hang on one second. Okay. All right, let me read a couple more here from Whitney. She values love and strong relationships with her friends and significant others. Outlander has a lot of complex relationships that carry the story. Interesting. Samuel would like to make radio so she could communication with family, and that would help him maintain his sanity. All right. The second thing that's going to be in your package, you have a book that you're going to live with. Now you have power. You have a DVD player in your whatever place you're staying. What would be the one movie that you would want to watch multiple times throughout a year? Whitney's Fast, Ocean's 8, Saving Mr. Banks for Brittany. Keep them coming. We got 2 so far.
Tuesdays with Maury.
Oh, excellent. Okay, thank you. Allison's got Lord of the Rings Extended Edition. Emily has She's the Man. Castaway, that's pretty good, Tanner. Inception or Endgame. Okay, any others? Star Wars, excellent. And Josh is smart, right? Because he's got Star Wars 1 through 6. So you got, and I think a series would be okay. Okay, so again, what does your movie choice say about what you value?
I think both my choices prove that I'm old.
So you value wisdom. We'll say it that way, Eric. How about that?
Yeah. And how to apply it.
Yeah, and how to apply it. Excellent. Emily says, funny and provides enjoyment. Parker character and dynamics. Whitney says, that movie because it's empowering to me and a reminder that she is strong and independent. And Walt Disney's mindset, mental stimulation. All right, I actually went ahead. All right, here's the last part of this game. This one's the hardest, but I think is the easiest to apply values to. So you get a message that says, all right, all of you individually, you've succeeded in surviving this year long. This island now turns a little bit magical. And before you, on your last day on the island, you can have dinner with 5 people. Now don't start typing yet or thinking, but just hold on. You can have dinner with 5 people, and these 5 people could be anybody who has lived or is now living on planet Earth. Who would you want to have dinner with on your last night on this island? Anybody who has ever lived or is currently living on planet Earth. Five folks. Anyway, once you're ready, feel free to chime in or type in.
I would say for me, my wife
Uh-huh.
and my 3 children.
Yeah, so there you go. That's 4. So you got one.
And then the last one would be my mom.
Your mom. Excellent. So Eric, what does that say about your values?
I value my family greatly.
Uh-huh.
And I really know what's important in life, not because I'm smarter than anybody else, but because I've lived through a lot more experiences.
Right. Okay, Brittany says savior, husband, and son. Okay. And she feels like that's good enough, which is probably good enough. Okay, anybody else? What are your 5? Who are your 5 folks? Okay, Emily says husband, President Hinckley, and 3 sisters. Samuel says the Savior, Joseph Smith, my brother Jack, Nephi, and someone else. I think it'd be really cool to meet the prophet in person. Whitney says, Grandpa, Christ, my mom, my grandma, and someone else. When I used to teach this in in-person classes, someone would usually say their future spouse, and they may not know who they are. They say, oh, you're my future spouse. That's pretty cool. So again, you could identify looking at these. Family is a high value. The Savior, your discipleship are leading the way here. Now, as we get to part 4 of your creed document, we are a pretty collectively homogenous group as members of the church. We value a lot of the same things, and your personal creed documents are going to be a lot similar in that you value your faith and family primarily, your health, your freedom. People value adventure, and they value charity, and they value causes. So those are all really good things. Now, as on cue almost, Eric mentioned How You Measure Your Life, which was written by this person, Clayton Christensen, who just passed away this month. He was a Harvard professor and a member of the church. And we've talked about this before, but I'm going to drive it home until the end of the semester. And that is, we all should be doing these 3 things. We should identify the likeness or the vision of the person we want to become. We need to become committed to that likeness. And we need to find a measurement tool, a metric, to judge ourselves on how we're doing. His likeness statement says that he wants to be a man who is dedicated to improve the lives of other people, a kind, honest, forgiving, and selfless husband, father, and friend, a man who just doesn't believe in God, but who believes God. And you could look at the values there. He values serving in his family and his faith. And we've talked about that there. And then he says that this is, and we'll introduce the law of 1% later, but the law of 1% is maybe the most valuable, one of the most valuable parts of Inner Victory. And that is the idea that you will take a 1% of your day, which is exactly 14.4 minutes, and just ask yourself, take time and reflect and ponder and relax and meditate and ask yourself, how am I doing in regard to my values? And he says that each of us may have a different process for committing to our likeness. But what is universal is that our intent must be to answer this question: who do I truly want to become? And if you begin to feel that likeness you've sketched for yourself is not right, that is not the person you want to become, then you must revisit your likeness. But if it becomes clear that it is the person you want to become, then you must devote your life to becoming that person. So I know what we're doing in this class. And then he says that the only metric that matters in his life is whom have I been able to help one by one to become a better people. When I have my interview with God, our conversation will focus on the individuals whose self-esteem I was able to strengthen, whose faith I was able to reinforce, whose discomfort I was able to ease. I'll use that word. I can never say that word right. A doer of good, regardless of the assignment I have. So that's what we have for this week. Sorry for my voice. Hopefully we'll feel better next week. Any questions that anybody has about what we're doing this week, and then looking forward to next week? Oops, I've hidden.
What was that again?
Any questions that anybody has about this week or next week? Okay, just as a reminder, this week is 3 assignments only. Next week will be a little busier, but not personal pre-document stuff yet. And then we'll get back to in a couple of weeks looking at your personal creed document. In the meantime, have a great week, and please let me know if you have any questions. I'll stay on afterwards if anybody does have questions. If not, we'll see you soon. And Tanner, thank you. I will get better.
Yes, please do get better.
Yeah.
Your
Well,
cough drops are working well. You do have a cough.
I do have a cough. Yeah. Thank you. All right. Thank you all.